Today, we're heading high up into the Himalayas to unpack the incredible thousand-year story of Ladakh. For centuries, this kingdom didn't just survive, it thrived, right at the crossroads of massive empires, acting as a crucial link on the legendary Silk Road. So how'd they pull it off? Well, that's what we're going to get into.
So, what's in a name? In Ladakh's case, pretty much everything. The name literally means the land of high passes. And trust me, that isn't just some poetic title. It perfectly describes its geography and its destiny. This remote, rugged landscape was both its greatest defense and its greatest asset. A real challenge to conquer, but an absolutely priceless link for anyone who could control it.
And that, right there, is the big question, isn't it? How did a kingdom in such a harsh, isolated place not only survive but actually prosper for 1,000 years, all while being squeezed between giants like Tibet, China, and the empires of India? Let's find out.
All right, to really understand Ladakh, we've got to go way back, to the beginning, to the very first people who called these high mountain passes home. You know, right from the very start, Ladakh was a total melting pot. You had Indo-Aryan groups like the Dards and the Mons who came in and settled along the river. And then you had nomadic shepherds, the Mongols, migrating from Central Asia. So this was never some isolated, uniform place. Its identity was forged right at the convergence of all these different peoples and cultures.
So out of this mix of people, something new started to take shape, a unified power that was about to put Ladakh on the map, big time.
Okay, picture this. It's 922 AD, and a ruler named Nemagon does something incredible. He establishes the Lachin dynasty, creating the very first independent, unified state in Ladakh. But his real game-changing move? He made Buddhism the state religion. That single decision transformed Ladakh into a major hub for Buddhist learning and culture, forging this unique identity that would define it for centuries.
And the key to all of this? Well, it was location, location, location. The Lachin dynasty knew they were sitting on a gold mine. Ladakh wasn't just on the Silk Route, it was a strategic junction, controlling the flow of goods like cotton, spices, and silk between Central Asia, Tibet, and India. This trade wasn't just business, it was the engine that powered their kingdom for hundreds of years.
But as powerful as the Lachin were, they were really just setting the stage. Ladakh's true golden age was still to come, under a brand new and even more ambitious dynasty.
And this is where you can really see a major shift in thinking. The first dynasty, the Lachin, was all about bringing the region together and cashing in on that Silk Road trade. But the Namgyal dynasty, they had a whole different playbook. Their focus was on building up military might, creating an incredible architectural legacy, and actively defending their borders against powerful neighbors.
So this new dynasty gets its start in 1460 with a ruler named Basagan. After he finishes uniting all the different parts of Ladakh, he gives his house a new name, Namgyal, which means victorious. Talk about a statement of intent. It was bold, and it turned out to be a pretty fitting name for what was coming.
Now, the dynasty's most famous ruler was, without a doubt, Sengi Namgyal, who came to the throne in 1616. He was so powerful, so influential, that he earned himself a legendary nickname, the Lion. And you can see why they called him that. His legacy is literally carved into the landscape. He's the one who built the iconic 9-story lei palace that still towers over the city. He founded famous monasteries like Hemis, cementing Ladakh's cultural identity. And then, in 1642, he pulled off this legendary military victory, defeating the combined armies of the Baltis and the mighty Mughal Empire. This was it. This was the absolute peak of Ladakhi power.
But, as we all know, no golden age lasts forever. After centuries of fierce independence, the Lion Kingdom would finally face a threat that it just couldn't beat.
And when the end came, it came shockingly fast. In 1834, a brilliant general from the Sikh Empire, Zorawar Singh, invades from the south, and despite Ladakh's brutal terrain, his forces were just relentless. There was this brief glimmer of hope in 1841 when Zorawar himself was killed in battle, but it just wasn't enough. By 1842, the Treaty of Chushul was signed, the war was over, and so was Ladakh's independence.
And just like that, it was over. Nearly 400 years of rule by the victorious Namgyal dynasty, gone. Ladakh was no longer its own kingdom. What happened next was basically a game of geopolitical hot potato. First, Zorawar Singh conquers Ladakh for the Sikh Empire. Then, the British come in and defeat the Sikhs. In the aftermath, a new treaty is signed that hands the entire region, including Ladakh, over to a new Dogra ruler named Gulab Singh. And with that, Ladakh was officially absorbed into the newly created princely state of Jammu and Kashmir.
Okay, so that brings us into the modern era, and the final chapter of Ladakh's story, at least so far. When India gained independence in 1947, the princely state of Jammu and Kashmir joined the new nation, and Ladakh, of course, went with it. For the next 70-plus years, its fate was completely tied to that state, but a huge constitutional shift was just around the corner. And that brings us to one single, hugely important year, 2019. This is when Ladakh's status changed, dramatically. It was officially separated from Jammu and Kashmir and became its own distinct union territory, a region administered directly by India's central government.
And that really completes the arc, doesn't it? From a powerful independent kingdom on the Silk Road to being part of a princely state and finally to its current status as a union territory of India. It has been a long, complicated journey defined by an incredible resilience.
In the end, Ladakh was never a conquering empire itself, but its story is something else, something maybe even more remarkable. It's a story of endurance. It's a testament to a culture and a people who carved out a unique identity in one of the toughest landscapes on Earth, and somehow managed to hold on to it for over 1,000 years.